Hi, today I wanted to talk to you about asking questions in science and how we can work to ask better questions in general as scientists, as people. So, to start off, I just wanted to play these three videos for you, and the idea here is just watch them, and I want you to write down any questions you have, as wild as they are, as not wild as they are, as simple or as complex as you want them to be. All right, that's pretty well lined up. So you can see that the first two videos are they're the same process, just different angles. And I need about a minute to get this one lined up so that the timelines are closer. All right. So you may have several questions that I don't. I may have some questions that you don't. But I did step back and just write down a couple questions that I had, and I've listed them all here. Now, as you can see, these questions, some of them vary in terms of what you might consider quality, depending on how you want to measure it. Some of them aren't questions, but I have found in the past that when I ask for questions, I don't always get them. That's totally fine. But when we get things that we're not exactly looking for, I think a discussion about refining is very helpful. So I did want to take a second to talk about what in science and chemistry we're going to consider a good driving question. Driving questions are ones that are, like it says, content focused and open-ended. That means that everything you see here, we're looking to write questions that start with what you come to class with or what you've learned in previous units and extend upon them. Questions that are going to be difficult to answer now, but will start becoming easier as time goes on, as we work through a unit. So in general, I'd like to start off many of our units by having a time, a place to ask and refine driving questions. And for me, like the most successful way to frame this I've experienced is the last bullet. Think about what questions you would need to be able to answer before you're able to explain what you just saw. So going back to our list, using that lens of what makes something content-driven and open-ended, I think we can probably go through this list and do two things. One, I want to remove the questions that are less content-driven and less open-ended. As we move forward in the year, hopefully you'll learn to have these thoughts and then release them and not even bother putting them to paper. So I think questions of like, can I do this at home? Or, whoa. or maybe, is this dangerous? Are questions that we don't really need to be asking right now. They're good questions, but in terms of, like I said, questions that we're going to push us forward into the unit, I don't think these will get the job done. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure some of these they're content driven. I'm not sure they're super open ended. I think maybe even asking about why you're pouring out the excess or things like that, or even questions about why'd the fire stay at the top the second time may or may not be applicable to whatever unit we're in, wherever we are at the year. It also happens that sometimes you get questions that, are great questions, but just unfortunately misaligned with the fact that we're in our first year of chemistry. Good to hold on to, will be answered down the road. After you consolidate, after you filter out the ones that are less content driven and less open-ended, it is also worth taking the time to put maybe some of these questions together or reword them in such a way to make them even more open-ended. I think asking things like, what is the liquid and why does the liquid burn and is it the same liquid in each? I would say all three of them are kind of this like very related questions. What chemicals are in the liquid? Those are really, really related questions. So, how do chemicals burn? That's a nice open-ended question that would require a very lengthy explanation, and that might be a good question to ask as you're watching this. I think looking at ones that talk about speed would be pretty useful. Why do chemical reactions happen at different speeds? And looking at some of these, I think looking at these two, we've got a question about the bottle itself. How do containers or conditions impact chemical reactions? And then this last one, why'd the fire stay at the top the second time? I added this in when I was recording it. I did not expect that to happen, so that's a neat question that I'm looking to answer. I have my thoughts on it, but I actually kind of like that question as it is. I think that one's good to stay. It's open-ended enough. I think maybe we could make it a little bit more specific so that it could be addressed to someone who didn't watch the video, which is kind of where I'm pushing these questions to be as well. The whole idea is asking these open-ended questions that get away from the video or the demonstration you're seeing and get towards just questions about chemistry. So to sum things up, you want questions that are open, questions that are content driven and focused, and you want questions that have answers that help you answer other questions. Now, as I said, you might find through this process that you get better at asking questions. You might find that the questions you ask are going to be not super aligned where we want the class to be, and that's okay. This is a process, but this is just one of the skills we're hoping to develop as the year goes on. Thanks for watching.